This is Jack Moelmann, and today is the 3rd of July, 2013, and we're in Atlanta, Georgia, at the JW Marriott Hotel. This is part of the 2013 American Theater Organ Society convention, and we have a young guy with us that he's drinking tea, not coffee, and anyway, his name is Joshua Dill. And he's 17 years old and hails from Leesburg, Georgia. The reason we're interviewing him today is he won an award this year. He is one of the selectees to come to the convention under the George Wright Memorial Fellowship, which is what that does, is bring young people to the convention for the first time. So, Josh, they call you Josh, right?
That's fine. That's fine.
And how are you doing today?
That's a silly question. We just got back from the Fox Theater. My first time, I've heard the organ in the past in silent films, but this is my first time having the honor of hearing it in concert. And oh my gosh.
Now,
I'm doing great.
How long have you been involved in music? When did you first get started?
Okay.
Let's try that.
Well, when I first got started playing, and when I first started
interest.
Okay.
Interest in music.
Okay, let's see. I do not know my exact age, but I suppose probably about 4 or 5 years ago. Before this point in my life, I really didn't have any specific interest in music. I didn't even really listen to music much because on radio, popular music, there was nothing much that I liked. It was all just sort of dull and boring. And then, it's sort of a long, drawn-out story, but I'll go into it. I had to do a research paper in 4th grade about Jules Verne's 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea. Alright, I did the paper, and after that I watched the Disney film. In the Disney film, Captain Nemo comes and he starts playing Bach on an organ. And I was sitting there, and it's like, that is beautiful. That is just absolutely beautiful. I just loved it.
You know what he's playing?
It's just the toccata and fugue in D minor. Yeah.
Toccata in D minor.
Right.
It's interesting because when I do tours at the Fox Theater and you play the toccata in D minor, everybody seems to relate that to Phantom of the Opera, which has absolutely nothing to do with Phantom of the Opera. And I tell them it's Captain Nemo on the Nautilus, a submarine, and Kirk Douglas was the star of that show.
That's true.
So anyway, you got intrigued with it, and then what happened?
Well, anyway, I heard it there, and then from there I went to the internet and YouTube, and I started to listen to some classical organ here and there. And it's the first time in my life I finally understood what it was like to enjoy music. And I was just really becoming infatuated with it. And then, of course, on YouTube, that little bar on the side, it leaves all these little suggestions.
Mm-hmm.
Well, eventually, I'm looking and I see this real decorative organ console, I'm sure, and I click on it, and somehow, I don't remember what it was, but I heard the theater organ for the first time on YouTube like that. I just come across it, and I heard it, and I just said, oh my gosh, what is this? It's just the most beautiful sounding instrument I've ever heard in my life. From the beginning, it just clicked. I just absolutely adored it. It was just...
Well, how did you get from there to find out what it was?
Well, let's see. From there, I probably just kind of looked down in the comments, and I probably just started reading all the little comments about it till I finally heard someone mention the name theater organ. From there, I said, okay, it's called a theater organ. So then I typed it in. I went to Wikipedia. Thank God for Wikipedia. And on Wikipedia, they had a long, extensive article all about this and that, and it explained all the basic things about theater organs, how it accompanies silent films, the different ranks, how it works. And that's really how I first understood what the organ was. And from there, I just started listening to more and more and more and more, just enjoying it more and more. And then I found out about ATOS, which I was just like, wow,
Now, remember, the pronunciation is ATOS.
Oh, it is?
Don't say ATOS.
Oh, I didn't know that. Okay.
Yeah, that's a sin.
It is?
Yeah, it's
I didn't know that.
ATOS.
I don't get to go to enough meetings. Well, thankfully, I get. See, now I know. I'll finally come to enough.
So don't do too much ATOS in public.
Okay. I used to call it ATOS, but my dad started calling it ATOS. I
No,
said, that sounds better.
Don't do it.
ATOS. Okay, I apologize.
Okay.
Well, anyway, I found out about ATOS, and
No, they just said it again.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Let me get a sip of tea. Maybe that'll
I
help.
think you got too much tea.
Anyway, ATOS, I went to their main website, and from there I found out about the Atlanta chapter. And this is where I went to the Atlanta chapter's website, and I got in contact with Bucky Reddish, who was the president of the Atlanta chapter at that time, and he really was the one that was the most instrumental in bringing me into the fold, you might say. He was just so kind and generous to me. And what happened was I started emailing him and finding out about the chapter, and he invited me up to his birthday bash, his annual birthday bash.
Mm-hmm.
And it was the year that Nathan Avakian was playing. And he invited me to come up, and he even paid for our hotel room. So we come up, just amazingly generous. So me and my grandma come up, and we saw it, and it was my first time really hearing a theater organ concert live. And I remembered it was Nathan Avakian and Donna Parker. They both played. Just a glorious concert. Now I was just absolutely blown away, because I've come from this little bitty YouTube screen about this big, and pathetic headphones, to just this blasting wall of sound. I'd never heard a theater organ in person until that point. And after that, the hook just went, I was hooked. It was like a disease at that point. And
So what are we doing now? We're
Okay. Okay, after that, let's see. I decided that it would be really fun to learn how to play one of those things. And I'd always wanted to play an instrument. I just didn't know which. And then, of course, after all that, I was like, I know what I want to play now. So, I go to a Bind Christian school, which is part of Bind Church. So I met up with the minister of music at Bind Church, and he plays the organ, the piano, he's a musical genius. He plays everything.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I began to take lessons from him. And I always
on
heard,
what? The organ or piano?
well, I always heard that it's good to get a really good, solid foundation in classical piano before you go to organ. So I'm taking piano/organ lessons from him.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm learning, from him I'm learning a really solid base.
How long you been doing that?
I've been at it for 3 years now.
3 years.
Right, and we kind of alternate some between piano and organ.
How are you doing?
I would far better than I ever thought I'd be able to do.
Have you played publicly, so to speak?
I have played publicly for the first time about 2 months ago.
For what?
At the church, he just told me that he'd like me to play one day, and he said he wanted me to play Holy, Holy, Holy. So he gave me an opportunity to do it. So I got the song out, I worked through it, and I got out there, and I managed to get through it and play it without passing out. So I have actually played in front of people, and they seem to enjoy it, because at the church they don't really play the organ much anymore, and all the especially the older people there, they really were happy to see it being played, and oh gosh, it was just wonderful.
So have you ever played it? You have an organ at home now?
Yes, the chapter was very generous to me. They given me a con artist 720 organ with a really nice Leslie speaker to go with
Now,
it.
is that a classic organ or a theater organ?
It's just both. You can get classical organ sounds out of and theater organs.
Have you played a real theater organ?
I have.
Where?
Not very much, but I have.
Okay. You're how far from Atlanta?
3 hours.
So you're close enough that they could let you play that at the Mighty Molar here at the Fox.
That's true. And I'm getting to that point. The main reason up to this point I haven't done much playing on theater organs is because I've just been such a beginner. I remember playing Mary Had a Little Lamb. I'm finally getting to the point now I can actually play with some proficiency on an organ. But we got in America, it's 30 minutes away. We got a fine theater organ, and about an hour away in Fitzgerald we got a fine one. So those will be the two I'll be able to play, really close by and easy to access.
So, we'll come back to the organ in a minute. Briefly, what are your other interests besides music?
Oh goodness, I don't know if I can go into hobbies briefly, but I'll try. All right. Well, we've already mentioned before that silent films,
Mhm.
because I'd seen a few before I got into theater organs, but obviously when you get into theater organs, you're gonna have to find out about silent films, and I just took right to them to the point. I almost only watch. I only watch silent films pretty much.
Oh, have you accompanied one?
I've never accompanied one yet.
You haven't even tried it, huh?
I've made some tries at home by myself, but
Yeah.
not in front of anybody.
Yeah. Okay, and then you collect. You told me you collect other things, old stuff.
I live at Goodwills and flea markets and that kind of thing. Just get,
So you got a house full of junk?
well, I call it treasure.
Yeah.
One man's trash is another man's treasure. But it's all organized, on shelves. Kind of like, I like to think of it as a museum. Stuff I brought home, restored, and put on a shelf.
It sounds like you're sort of unique. You don't fit in with the school crowd, do you? Are you into sports or any of that stuff?
No. This is the theater organ world. I just fit perfectly in it. Silent films, organs, it's perfect.
So, what's your long range plan here within, let's say, the next 5-10 years?
Well, my goal is just to continue to get better every day at playing the piano and organ, and just being able just to go and just play theater organs and sound good and just have a good time playing it. That's always been my dream. Just be able to sit down at an organ console and just start playing, and maybe even play in front of the chapter some.
Yeah.
Just to enjoy myself and maybe share it with others if I can.
Well, I think you certainly have the right attitude. I just met Josh this evening, I think less than an hour ago.
It wasn't long. Elevator acquaintance.
And he was brought here as an award, free of charge travel and hotel and registration to attend a convention for the first time. And you won the award because of your apparent interest. So I think you certainly have the personality to fit in with this entertainment type of art form. You have any questions we could put on this thing?
Questions?
Yeah, questions of me. I'm just a simple one that I can answer for you.
Let's see. Question, like technical or
No, just sort of general.
general?
In fact, I think we'll save that for offline
Okay, that would work.
because you got to think of some, and I've got to think of
I'm not really sure what
some
to ask.
answers.
I'm
So-
sure the moment you shut the camera off, I'll think of like 1,000. But
Okay, but anyway, I think we're going to bring this to a close. Joshua Dill from
Leesburg, Georgia.
Leesburg, Georgia. You're obviously a Southerner because you don't talk right.
I'm not as bad as a lot of them.
And I think you're going to have a good time at the convention, but you probably have so far.
Whew, yes.
And we're looking
Amen.
forward to great things from you because with these recordings, I'm going to find you 5 years from
Okay.
now.
Hold me accountable.
And see what you're doing. And so, you want to say goodbye to everybody? Let me just give the date one more time. Jack Moelmann here in July 3rd, 2013 in Atlanta, Georgia with Josh Dill, and we'll give you the last word.
All right. Well, goodbye. Wonderful having the interview.